This is the Healthy Masculine Movement channel. So I want to ask you, when have you been in your healthy masculine, and what did you feel when you were in your healthy masculine?
The healthy masculine to me is when like I am me, I'm living in my purpose, I'm serving the world beautifully, and at a meta level, in the interactions I have with my wife, my kids, or the people I'm around, I'm serving them at a heart level, recognizing their heart, their where they are emotionally and what their needs are emotionally. And so,
Like
not
that.
just coming from selfishness, but from like awareness and, a wider
So
way of being.
serving.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So,
So serving is one great way of putting
yeah.
it.
An example of unhealthy.
Well, the thing that I share with a lot of people, just because I don't want to create a discernation like either you are toxic masculine or you're not.
Yeah.
The last time I was in an unhealthy masculine state was probably in the last 5 days. My kid triggers me and I react from a place of heart closure. No, you can't do that. We don't talk that way in this house. Ironically, as I'm talking that way in this house. I think coming into a relationship with healthy masculine means that more often you are in a healthy masculine way. I don't think we're ever not going to have our triggers come up, and it's almost impossible when you're living a life around other people, and especially if you have kids, like it's impossible not to go into like your needs and reaction, right? How often can I be in full wide awareness and love? And when I'm not in that, what do I need to come back to it?
I used to not be able to recognize that I was in an unhealthy state. Now I feel I can feel it in my body, and then now take the steps, and I know some steps to do, and learning from other people's as well. What steps do they take to move out of it? If it's just like go hug a tree, get outside, or just movement.
The number one most impactful way to shift from unhealthy to healthy is take a breath. Like take a big, good breath, like and in the moment of that breath, can you upset the pattern? Can you switch the trigger? Can you say, okay, I'm out of alignment. How do I want to serve this moment?
I've studied Tantra for the last 6, 7 years, and it's breath, movement, sound. It helps me in everything, just breathing, getting my body moving, jogging, doing some heavy exercise, and sounds, as you did with your breath, just like it
Totally.
releases some energy that I never knew before, and just
Totally. And it's interesting, there's a really great example of this in nature. I don't know if you've ever seen two dogs get into a tussle where they like lock up and they're like getting at each other. And like after they break from their conflict, they'll shake vigorously. And then all of a sudden the cadence of their walk is as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
And so that's like the most primal animalistic version of an embodiment exercise where you're in conflict, you're in like resistance or fight, you shake, you move it.
Yeah.
And then you just go on with your life.
Yeah, I hold on to stuff and I want to be able to just like shake it off. And we met through John Wineland, and that's some of the great stuff he teaches is just like flicking it off of you and just like, and I used to kind of think that was, people say woo-woo now, but man, it works. Energy, we are all energy.
Yeah.
And if you have too much energy or not the right energy, the energy you want, then like shift.
For a man that might be listening that like has no access to conscious masculinity, the first thing is just coming into right relationship with your body and your nervous system. Recognizing, wow, my nervous system is in control of me. Doing some practice, meditation classes and yoga classes, right? And so those are historically relevant ways of coming into the self.
I've been listening to some Michael Singer while working in the garden, and he's just like, whatever this negative thing is coming up, it's a spiritual gift. Here's your new test. Do you want to try it out and see where it is, or do you want to keep reliving it? Because it's just going to keep coming back to you. I just see all these tough times now as, oh, lucky me. Sometimes it hurts, and it's like, holy shit, I've been living this for 25 years. Now I want to step up and take care of it.
Yeah, well, the path to shedding our stuff really is not an overnight thing. You start to unpack one thing and then you notice another thing. When you start getting in the process of like noticing the things that are alive for you, then you really start to realize how much shit you've been holding. Oh, I have a wound around this. I have a wound around that. I have a belief over here. I know it's hard to awaken and go through the process of healing, but I can't imagine living unconsciously at this point.
Yeah. Once you kind of get here, it's like, no, I want to just keep opening up to that.
What it really is once you start to learn this stuff, you start to find a freedom that you didn't have before. I see a lot of men that are resistant to awakening or resistant to conscious work or even like therapy. And I'm just like, fuck, I can see how fucked up they are in their nervous system. Pardon my
Yeah.
language. And I can see how like everything around them is responding to that. Their relationships are failing. Their fucking kids don't like them. Do you want to live a life where your like woman doesn't love you or doesn't want to fucking touch you? Your kids hate you? Or do you want to come into right relationship with energy and the way you're showing up in life and have people devoted to your pleasure and love? Freedom, man. Like that's what it is. If you want to be free, then learn how to clear your shit and like come into right relationship with the moment.
I had a great conversation with a friend yesterday. Some people are showing that they're learning, and then other people, you just feel it. And you want to be around them. Totally. Because they are either that healthy masculine or just healthy in their life. We continued on the conversation, but she was saying, men are wanted, right? Men are wanted. They're wanted in women's lives. They're waiting. They're kind of waiting for us.
Yeah.
And it feels so nice to hear that we are wanted in our fullness. We are wanted like to show up, and then they will meet us there and they will love us.
100%. There has been like this historical thing with the feminine and with women. They're just like, we want our men to be healthy. We want our men to be good. Now that comes in the language of like, fuck toxic masculinity, right? Men are bad, men are terrible. And it's not about you. It's not about me, but it is also about the ways that we've been conditioned and taught to show up in life. And yeah, you're right. I work with a ton of women. They're all just like, we want good men. It's important for women to recognize, and this is something that happens a lot, the ideas that we have about men, this idea that we've been conditioned to believe through feminism and learning about our cultural landscape. Men are bad, toxic masculine. Don't put the belief about men in general on the man that's in front of you, because the man that's in front of you is probably a good man doing his best. So how can you validate the best and also work with what's difficult? Most of the men that I know, even if they're not incredibly enlightened and spiritual, they're doing their best and they want to do their best. They just don't have the tools.
This is a great time to say, who are you and what do you do?
Well, my name is Max Trombly. I'm a men's work facilitator down in the American Southeast. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. I also work a lot with John Wineland. I'm a lead trainer in the teacher training program that he offers, the Embodied Masculine Leadership Program. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I've got 2 young kids. I run a men's circle here in New Orleans. And I'm a coach, and I coach men and women and couples. And I help people come back to a place of love and clean, free living from a place of like, I'm here, I love life, and I'm here to just show up and receive. The thing that I stand for is we all deserve beautiful relationships where we want each other, where we like fuck each other to God and just have amazing, incredible intimacy, and where we're raising kids in the environment of love. And in an environment of we can win here, we can do things. Historically, I was a photographer for 20 years and I created art, for a long time. And I've shifted over the past couple of years to really move into leading people towards this way of being because it's just so incredible. Like I learned a new way of living, a new way of being and relating to life. And I just can't not share that.
What do you think is the importance of men's group?
I think that men's circles are critically important, especially at this point in our history. Men need other men. Men need to be in relationship with other men. And the number one reason is because what we're now doing in relationship, we're using our romantic partners to be our emotional dependents and codependent. Men are just using their feminine partners to dump all their emotions on, be mothered into like okayness. That kills relationships and it kills the energy in relationship. If there's one reason why a man should join a men's circle, it's so that you can process your shit away from your relationship and show up more powerfully in your relationship. A secondary thing would be, what do you want to do in life? Do you want to be successful? Do you want to be successful in business or in purpose? And do you want to have a purpose that you're excited about, that you're living for? You can't do often that alone. You can't figure out how to do it alone. Being surrounded by good men who are living a deeper way of living is one of the most impactful things you can do to increase the quality of your life. Full stop.
I started my group at the beginning of this year, so it's about 8. Awesome. Going on 9 months now. I notice a difference in myself. People tell me this. Also, people, when I tell them about the group, men and women, they're all interested. Women are like, oh my God, what do you talk about? And this sounds so great. Can I have my person join?
Yeah.
And then men are also like, wow, what do you guys talk about? Is it just like beer? And it's like, no, we talk about stuff that don't want to talk about with anybody else and just feel free to open it up. And it feels so good to do. And I feel like in my group, we are doing something for us that I've never done before in my life.
As soon as you start doing this, people will magnetize to you and they're curious because they can feel that you're a different kind of person. If there's one thing that someone should take away from this conversation, it's that if you commit to doing the work and you surround yourself with good people, people are going to change how they feel about you. If you run your own business or you're in relationship, the way that things will change almost overnight is, I can't even begin to describe it. Just imagine turning on a light switch and everything works for you.
What do you think is a key piece to starting a men's group and keeping a men's group going? Because I know a lot of men are interested, but I think a lot of people don't think they could start their own group.
I teach people how to lead men's circles. I'm writing a book on the art of circle leadership for men. And so the number one thing when it comes to leading an impactful men's group that people keep showing up to is that you need to have a structure that feels good. Imagine you show up at an event and there's someone on stage and he's like, all right, everybody take a seat. Cool. We're going to just do some breath to drop into our bodies. Cool. We're doing the breath. Now, here's what we're going to talk about tonight. Having some structure so that, let's say you have 2 hours. The first 30 minutes, maybe you get people in their bodies and get them present through breath and embodiment. Then the next hour, you bring up a topic. And you don't even have to know the answer to the topic. You could just say, hey, I've been reading about this thing. You can let the circle kind of just share and have a conversation around it. And then the last thing is, open up the space to support. Be like, are there any men here that need some support? Like they're going through something in life. And then, make sure your circle's tight. If you say it's 7 to 9, then go from 7 to 9 and then bow and say, you guys have a good night,
Yeah.
And the reason I say this is because a tight structure is going to give people an understanding of what to expect. Second to structure, what is your mission? What are you doing with your circle? So when you start a circle, really get clear, where do I want to take men in my circle? That kind of baseline mission, every time your circle pops up, you can go back to that mission and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. How do I do this tonight? I'm about to kick off my next 6 month. I do it in 6 month sections. So I do once a month for 6 months and then I take a month off and then I start it again.
Okay.
And so all the men that join for 6 months. And that way we have a really tight group of men. So tomorrow is going to be my first of the next 6 months. And I've got 5 new men that have never done men's work before. So the first thing is they're going to show up at a meeting and it's going to be really well run. There's going to be some candles, some beautiful seating. And at exactly 7, I say, all right, welcome. We're going to get started. I get right into practice. We do some embodiment and breath practice. And then I'm going to just do a little teaching on what we do here. And so why this is important, what we're doing in this circle. And then I'll bring up a conversation topic and I'll do some shares around it. If you have a tight structure and a solid mission, you're going to have a successful circle. Oh. And then, you can run it either every month or twice a month or whatever. You could run it weekly if you wanted to. I think the thing about sustaining a long-term circle is you don't want to do so much that it's a burden to people. So, I do once a month and I have men that are saying I wish there were more. And that's actually a better space to be in than having it once a week and having men be like, oh, there's too much, because then they're going to fall off.
Yeah.
So, my circle is not a huge money-making thing. I don't do it for that. I do it just to maintain a constant flow of, men's work and to serve men locally. And so, just creating a circle that works for me in my life. I've been running it for 7 years. And
nice.
What I know to be true is that if I do 6 months on and then take a month off, I can sustain that personally. Does that make sense? We could talk circle all day because there's so many things about, how to run a successful men's circle, whether to do it for free or to charge people. There's all sorts of stuff that comes up here.
Okay. Well, I actually want to get in touch with you after this because that excites me. Yeah. But about your book, when do you think it would be out and available?
That's such a good question, man. So I started writing it and I feel like it's almost complete. And then the new season of new programs kicked off. And so I'm I want to finish this thing, but I'm really in the swell of what's alive. My kids are back in school. Yeah. They got, sports practice. And then I've got all these circles and programs that I'm assisting and running. And so I can't give you an exact date, but I think, realistically, I think I'd like to set a goal to have this thing wrapped up and complete by the end of the year. So I don't know.
It's a good goal.
Yeah. Maybe
I'll hold you to that. I'll check in on you then.
All right. Check in on me. And yeah, I have a couple friends that are writers that I can just say, listen, I need some accountability. I could probably get this thing done in 2 months because I'm close. I just need to finish it up.
Okay. Well, thank you for this. I'm going to say that's a lot of information that I've already brought into myself. So yeah, I'm gonna message you to make sure I get some info from you.
Sure. And if any of your listeners want to get in touch, my name is Max Trombly. I have a shiftedbeing.com. You can find me on Instagram too as Max Trombly, and I put a lot of my stuff out on Instagram. So I'm happy and I'm available, man. So yeah, reach out if you want it.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to put all your info in this channel as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much, brother.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Max. See you again.
Came down from Bethlehem to heal him as he lay. The absolution of that year had forced his faith away. To be healed, to be healed. Oh my, the man walked oceans of to find his greatest fear. It kept him searching long before he died one empty year for his fear, for his fear. Oh my, let our world turns, it burns to turn world. Drove his mind to hell as silence drowned his screams. To be free, to be free. Tremors quake and rip the earth. A coast slides in the sea. My sad eyes